everyone, to this week's episode of Confidently in Charge, the podcast here by Poppy Lead. I am your hostess, Allison KT, and today I am so excited to be joined by the phenomenal Jackie Simek. She is a magnetic mindset coach and a certified EFT practitioner who serves coaches, creatives, consultants, and she's sort of, I love this description, a bit of a cross between a coach and a therapist. I have just been really in awe of her authenticity and, commitment to herself as a leader of this amazing business. I really love her, mindset focused, like spiritually influenced work, and just am so excited to have this conversation today. I love her approach to entrepreneurship and really just kind of being a boss. And so I am just so excited to welcome you to the show, Jackie.
Thank you. Isn't it funny when, I don't know, like anyone in your audience has been on a podcast or been introduced and you sit there and you listen to someone else speak about you. It's always this moment of like, am I really?
Did I do that? Yeah, I love that. Yeah, when you're like, oh, what? I just had someone say some really nice things about me recently. And it's just, that moment of like, oh, thanks.
It's all truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
But so I would love to just, dive right on in. Some of our favorite topics of conversation on this show are really entrepreneurship kind of as a whole. We talk about the confidence, the leadership, and I really love your kind of mindset approach to it. So let's just dive on in. How did you get started in entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Well, so I have a big corporate background, about 15 years in corporate between two jobs. So I stayed the length at both jobs and kind of worked my way up. And at one point during that period of time, like it's interesting when you look back on things now, like things really start to show themselves to you. But even though I'd spent such a long time in corporate and I spent a long run in each of the businesses, I think 2 years in and I took my first sabbatical. It was like another 2 years and then I went and worked abroad. Then it was another two, it's just like I was always kind of going on these breaks. Yeah. So about 3 years into the second job, maybe 2 years, doesn't matter. I went on a trip to Asia. It was my first time to Asia and we had spent 3 weeks there and I had this like really human experience. When you're in the corporate world and I was in private equity, so everyone's caught up in who's driving what, who's flying what. Let's just be honest. I had people at the office who were buying planes and, whose position, blah, blah, blah. And you go to a place that's the middle of nowhere and like all of that gets just stripped away from you. There's no labels. There's, it's just human to human connection. It's human love. These people who have nothing, they want to give you more. And I was just really, really touched. And I said to myself, like, I am going to spend a year traveling. Like, I want to do this. I made a commitment to myself that by the next year that I would leave. And I did. I planned everything out. I quit that job and I went on like a journey of like, searching in essence, like for something like outside myself that would make me feel good, that would light me up, would be the place I fell in love with, someone, who knows. And did all of that and really like literally went to the other side of the earth, came home and was like, okay, all that I was searching for, I still haven't found. And at that point, like I was trying to find a job again and I was getting like, rejection after rejection. My partner and I broke up. I ended up like living with my parents because if you're unemployed, you're not getting an apartment in New York City. So I'm in my childhood bedroom, staring up at my diploma from college. And like, I'm just like, what am I doing here? And not only what am I doing here, but like, how am I still here? How after all of that I just went on, do I like feel this way? And so I was like, oh, I really like need to get to the bottom of this. I really surrendered. And my friend was like, go see this woman. And so I went to see this woman and she taught me this technique that I use with all my clients now. And it really fundamentally helped me feel better, helped me switch the way that I was thinking about myself. And I got very addicted to like, what is this thing? Because I feel so great. And I'm having these breakthroughs I never had. And I started to quickly get involved in learning that and becoming certified to use the tool. And in the meantime, I got my old job back and and started back there. And then over time, like you just can't have those types of experiences where like I'm beginning to feel better and better inside. I got a dose of what it was like to not have a corporate job. I'm back in this environment where like, yeah, I feel better about myself and everything, but I'm looking around like, do I want to become all these people that are here? Do I want my life to just be about, chasing money and not really like helping people? I wanted to like, I knew I was helping people in the greater scheme of things, but I wanted to really help people in a more intimate way. And, as you start to feel better, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. So you're like, so I think the higher self in me sort of knew that. And it was like, no, just stay in this job. Just stay in this job. And I went on another trip to the middle of nowhere. And I was in this jungle in Nicaragua. And I had one book, and it's a book I recommend to all my clients. It's kind of like makes you go in and kind of introspectively look at like, what is your life's purpose? What do you want to do with your life? And yeah, I emerged from the jungle being like, yeah, I guess you're starting your own business. Because I couldn't ignore all the signs that were like, what lit me up was that I loved helping people. I loved hosting people. I loved traveling. I was like, okay, none of that's going to happen in this office, in this role. So then I slowly sort of like started to make my exit and started putting the pieces together. But I was super, super naive to think that like, I thought like, I remember the day that I launched my website, I was still working in the corporate job. And I was like convinced that there would be like an avalanche, like the server would blow up or something, like I press publish and like, who doesn't want to feel better? Everybody wants this technique and I'm going to help them. And they're just going to come pouring in. Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh.
That's kind of how it started. Long story, not short.
Yeah. But that's so, that is the story. That's kind of, I think, what leads us here. Like you listen to those pings of like, I want something different. I want to be able to travel. But then realizing like, okay, I traveled, I was around, but there's still something deeper within me that's kind of begging to get out, that wants to emerge. And I know we'll talk a little bit later on in this episode about sort of the parallel between healing and entrepreneurship, because I super love that. But before we get too far into that, I would, you've told us a little bit about, starting this business. How was that first year? Like, you said people didn't beat down the door immediately, but they eventually showed up, it sounds like. So what was that like?
Yes. So yeah, gosh, it feels like a million years ago. It's almost like traumatic, that those beginning days.
Oh no.
But yeah, no, so I put the website out and, thought that that's it. That's all it really took, like being present in the marketplace and listing myself on a practitioner website, and really didn't have like my offering built out or have like a, I hate the word funnel, but have a journey that a client could, or potential client could take to get to know me, to understand whether I'm the right investment for them to make. I also was just offering the tool itself. So it's really hard to market a modality than to really talk to people in terms they understand. When it's something that's not mainstream, and although it's got all the science and the effectiveness behind it, like that's not compelling to help people be like, yeah, I want to try that out. And you end up with like a lot of marketing that's based around like education and proving. And that's basically where I was. It was like, I was so unsure of myself, unsure of like what I was really doing. I had I joined a big box group coaching program that if you don't have a clear understanding of what you're doing, you will get lost up in there. It'll be like throwing yourself into a washing machine, just tumbled around. and then like one of the head coaches out of that ended up leaving the program, took like 5 of us with him. And now I'm getting coaching from someone who's got a $12 million business. And I'm trying to start something from scratch. So I'm getting a lot of like advice that's really not applicable for me. But I'm also in a very waiting mode. I was in such a waiting mode. I was waiting for our next call in 2 weeks for him to give me the holy approval of whatever I'm doing. I was looking at everything outside of myself as opposed to like this is what I want to do. I made a lot of decisions in those early days. They'll tell you to niche, right? So I am like, okay, I'll niche down, but I made the choices in who I was niching down to serve. I shouldn't say down because that gives a negative connotation, but niching to focus.
Yeah.
Yes, to focus my energy. So it's not scattered all over the place, and I can have clear lines of communication because clarity always works. And I picked the niche that was based on fear. It was based on like, okay, I'm going to pick this niche because they have a lot of money. Corporate. I picked corporate people, even though I just left corporate and wanted nothing to do with them. Right. So now I want to try and like reconnect with corporate people. And I picked physical pain. So that's something that the modality I'm certified in can help a lot in, but it has to be beyond, it has to be like chronic, because we have physical pain from we break our leg, we have physical pain, but if we have pain where we broke our leg 2 years later, that's chronic pain that's actually emotionally tied. It's never going to be physiologically addressed. So I just made another hard thing for me to try to explain to people. And yeah, I mean, I got a few clients, but it was definitely, there were some long, lonely days. And I was also very burnt out. I was burnt out from all of the time that I'd spent working. And I just remember like lots of days where I would be like, okay, you're going to do 3 posts and you're going to go on live and then it would be like 2:00. I'd done none of it. And I was like, I need a nap. And it was just like, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to nap. I'm going to go for a walk. It was a lot of like healthy coping mechanisms that I guess my body just needed at the time. Yeah.
That's so true. I mean, we have to learn how to like, kick ourselves into action sometimes. And what I hear, like, it makes sense perhaps that you didn't dive into action because it sounds like, maybe there wasn't alignment with the work you were doing. And so like, of course you didn't want to, do all of that. So, what changed? Like you're not with corporate and you're not working in physical pain at the moment, like my understanding there.
Well,
so
the
like,
whole
how
time,
did you find that?
So I did this big box group coaching program, and I would show up to the calls, show up to the washing machine, and I would. It was actually like it used the modality that I practiced. So some of the calls would be based on mindset, things that needed to be shifted, and emotional like fears and things that were coming up. And some of the calls were just like based on strategy. So what was really interesting was that I got to be like this fly on the wall and really see that people who had been in business 5 years, 10 years, didn't matter. Like when they had to either change their strategy or they had to focus on a different niche or raise their prices, anything that felt scary, like these people were coming to the calls really suffering, like really in pain, crying, lots of fear, lots of paralysis, procrastination, feeling overwhelmed, self-doubt, all those things. And I'm watching all this and I'm like, all of these people need personalized tapping. They need to like do some of the inner work that would really just help them feel bold and confident and step up and like answer their calling, create their own markets, create their own voice that really resonates with the right people, standing in their power. And I knew that's what I wanted to do, but I told myself, you don't know what the hell can we swear on this?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You don't know what the fuck you're doing. So like, you don't even have your own business. Like you're sleeping on, you're meditating on the couch and you have like 2 clients right now. How are you going to help other people? Right. So I knew I always wanted to do that, but I didn't really fully step into it. So when I did start to step into it, yes, more clients started to show up. And then it was like, okay, you got to practice what you preach, because every time that you're letting your own fear hold you back, like you're not in alignment either, because you're not living what you're saying, and you're not, these tools work. So like, you need to allow them to like work on yourself as well. And so that I would say is the biggest first shift, is that I just started getting visible and really started putting myself out there. It was just like, okay, even if the message isn't right, like this is what I believe in, like I'll just keep saying it and it'll resonate for the right people. And it did. It started to resonate for people. I started hosting tapping circles at my co-working space. I'm like RIP the wing. And and things like that started offering smaller bite-sized like experiences with me. So things started to elevate. And then I also started to like see what was happening with clients. So I was like, okay, they're finishing a 6-week offer and they need more. Now I moved it up to 2 months. Okay, 2 months. They need to go to 3 months. Oh, 3 months. They want to renew for another round. Like, okay, they need 6 months. So I started to change what was my offering as well. And then I got a great one-on-one coach who helped me like really get down on my strategy. And I packaged, understood who I was speaking to, what was the real tangible problem, how would an entrepreneur speak to this stuff as opposed to the way I'm speaking at it, like in my industry lingo or in my like already, one of the things I say to clients is like, speak like you would be having a conversation with a friend, not like you're the news reporting on it, right? So we try to use all these like big words that make us sound important, but like nobody can relate to those.
Right.
So I got like really, I kind of up leveled my marketing, really got the strategy down packed, started to work on my own like money consciousness, because it's interesting that like I love money. And like I said, I've been around money for a long time and I don't come from money. Like my parents are, political refugee immigrants. But like there's a difference between earning money in corporate and just like being like, okay, I'm here every week, the paycheck just like got direct deposited, versus like I need to have a conversation right now and communicate what I'm worth, or the price point and things like that. So started to work around like my own fears and objections around some of that stuff.
Oh my gosh. That
And
sounds like such amazing work. Like, just to kind of acknowledge there, like through this whole process, you're getting more in alignment with who you serve. You're stepping into that power, and then having that realization of like, okay, I need to be who I say I am. I need to be the person who runs this business. That's incredible.
yeah, and it's these like, I really genuinely, in my opinion, beliefs drive everything. So beliefs, like when you receive what you believe, right? And your beliefs will drive whether you're consistent, committed, you complete your actions, you actually like bring it to the finish line, that you can receive that thing that you want. And so everything for me is belief work, and it trickles through so much stuff where entrepreneurs don't even realize. It's like the way that you choose certain words in your marketing, the way that you belittle yourself that you don't even realize you're doing, when you're just like, I'm just doing this, or what do you guys think? Or maybe you want to come, instead of really being like, you need this. Right. This is what I believe in. This is what, is going to be the game changer. Like you've got to embody all of that. If you don't believe in what you're doing, no one else is going to believe in it for you.
That's so true.
They're not going to make an investment, right? It's their hard-earned money. And you've got to not only like understand where they are, but you've got to paint that aspirational like result for them, no matter what you do. If you're a consultant, you're building websites, like you got to be like, yep, the traffic's coming through this, through what I'm about to design, this amazing like user experience or whatever it is. Or if you're a coach or a consultant, really help somebody to see like what that is and what makes you different, because every single one of us has had like a different life experience. Like I used to hide that I was an accountant, right? And then now like clients are like, no, that's the reason I hired you, because I started talking about it. And they're like, yeah, you're this intersection of emotional trauma, like trauma healing, so that I can strengthen the beliefs in my self-identity. And then you still can calc my revenues in 2 seconds and map out my programs for the year or my offerings and see how things like go together. And all of the strategy that I got empowered with and started to implement my own business, I have then passed on to my clients as well. So I kind of marry the two, the strategy and the mindset, because the mindset is so important and the foundation to everything, but it's not as powerful. It's like just a bunch of like kind of esoteric mushy stuff if you don't have something to actually put it into.
Yeah. And I love, that's, one of the things that I love so much about your work, and kind of seeing that, leaning into the fact that you need both, and the acknowledgement of like, okay, yeah, you can have strategy and spreadsheets till the cows come home, but like if you don't honestly believe in what you're offering to people, or like if you don't, have that mindset of like, yes, this is, worthwhile, this is exactly what you need, and then tapping into some of that, self-talk, that's so powerful. Because yeah, I know I used to be a big like, if you want to book a call, like if that feel, and it's just like,
Yeah,
oh no,
totally.
I need to trust you need this.
I was doing a presentation last summer, not this past summer of COVID, but the summer before that, at a store in Soho, and I invited I put an Eventbrite up, invited some people, invited some friends to come, and I had this little postcard, and my God, I don't even remember what it said on it. It was like some sort of quote, belief work, something, and it had like a picture of me on the other side. And my friend, thank God that she came, because she is a trained actress, singer, dancer. She's been on Broadway and all that stuff. And so she picks up on all of these little cues so easily. And afterwards, she was like, okay, did you realize that when you gave out the postcard, you were like, if you guys want one, like here, I like kind of made this. If you think it's cool, like you can put it up in your house if you want. She's like, you have to be like, no, like this postcard, you need to know this message every day. You need to put this up in a place in your house where you can read it every day. You need to believe it. You need to embody it. Like that's where I was like, oh, did I do that? Like, sometimes like, yeah. So yeah, it's these little ways, like I was saying, that your beliefs really trickle through everything, whether you like it or not. It trickles through so much of the tonality, the nonverbal, and that stuff gets picked up even in copy that you write, even, in a Zoom call that you're on, in that sales call that you're on.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Just thinking about that language and bringing it. And I love, kind of your awareness of the belief and like understanding how you feel. With that, I'd love to ask, because previously we've had a conversation that sort of, shifted things in my head a little bit, but it was around the idea of plugging into communities as a new entrepreneur. Because I know that like I really enjoy being in community with other entrepreneurs, but I thought you had some really interesting kind of caveats. So could you speak a little bit to
Yeah,
your
I
thoughts?
probably have another perspective too, since we spoke, because I had my own NLP session last week where coach was like, and you're doing this in the community. I'm like, ooh. So one of the things, like I mentioned that big box, when I say big box group coaching program, I mean like the type of thing where this like the coach is sort of famous and they're running all these Facebook ads, and then they get you to come to their like weekend in some ballroom with no windows, and they hype you up all weekend, and then they sell you from stage to come work with them for like a year. And it's usually like a 5-figure price tag. And it was the first time I was like, I can't do this on my own. I need this. And so I joined, but I really didn't understand that there was no one-on-one. And when you don't have one-on-one, you don't have somebody who's really in there intimately knowing your business, giving you specific advice for your business. And like I said, I was really unclear about who I was or what I was even doing. And so yeah, I'm showing up to all these calls and I'm getting triggered. I'm getting triggered. Like not only am I getting triggered because I can't help them, but I'm getting triggered because I'm like, oh, they've been in business for 5 years and they're still struggling. Like I would be triggered on the low vibrational end of people who are really struggling, because I was like, oh no, I'm struggling too, but I'm barely keeping myself like above water spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And I can't like have you come try to, drag my life, my, what is that called? My life vest or
Yeah, you're like your lifeboat.
yeah, it's like, you know how it is. It's like too many people get on it, the thing's going to capsize.
Yeah.
So, that was triggering me. And then on the flip side, people doing well was triggering me too, because I was like, well, I want to do well. What do they got that I don't got? Or what are they doing that, I'm not doing? And then you try to mimic them, or you try to like study what they're doing. You're like, oh, I'll just change my niche. I'll do exactly what they're doing, which doesn't work, because you need to work in your own calling, your own dharma, in your own unique way of putting it out there. So I found that for myself, like as much as community is a beneficial thing, and now later on, like, as I really do thrive in the community, and I'm at a place where like I feel really good about myself and about my business. One of the thing that was pointed out to me recently was that I love coming to, I have a pod. So it's a group of like 10 people, maybe a little bit less, where we each get like, it's like a mastermind, like 10 minutes to share something, and then everybody can help. So this coach was like, you thrive on helping people. So that's why you like coming to the pod, because then you're actually given like the mic to help somebody. But yeah, even that could be a little bit, trying to get fulfillment off of the group,
right,
in that sort of way. But Yeah, I mean, now I think community is really important. I think it's good to have different types of communities that serve different purposes, that extend into different areas. Networking is, really important, but like beyond the surface level, like really getting to know people. I love virtual coffees where you can really take like a 30-minute deep dive with somebody. They have been like, actually, they've led to clients, whether it's the person themselves, like 3 months later, or them referring somebody to me. I think
Yeah.
it's like really helpful, and just like networking amongst different groups too, to do presentations, to do like leads in the group. One of the things I tell people, I do think like a BNI, like Business Networking International, where you really commit for like a half a year to go every single week and they take attendance. It's very serious. And I do think you kind of need to be a member to get the benefit from it. You need to really develop those relationships over time. But if you're curious and you want to go visit some chapters, you can visit a chapter up to 2 times. And because of COVID, all the chapter meetings are online. So I literally have visited like Lake Tahoe chapter and like, Queens chapter, because I don't have to go there in person.
BNI vacations.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like a great way if you're looking to network and expand your network. But like with everything, you have to be genuine and real and like actually follow up. But yeah, that's my little bit of like so I know a lot of your audience is newer entrepreneurs. Just keep a pulse or an awareness of how you're feeling when you're showing up to these groups. And if they're not serving you, get out. Yeah, go get the help you need or whatever's coming up for you. Talk it through with somebody. Yeah, definitely. Like we don't need to do this alone. But there's different avenues of getting support. And if you're a person like me who really values like intimate support, like I talk to my accountability buddy every day, right? So that's my point person that I get to talk to about my business, because trust me, the people in your life that aren't entrepreneurs, they don't want to hear shit.
Yeah.
Like,
And
I had enough.
yeah, they're like, don't, come on now. Yeah, that's so powerful though, just having that level of awareness about like, okay, is this community, serving me? Am I getting pulled down by negative Nancy's? Am I feeling inadequate next to this person? Like all of those things. I think that really, connects to that further discussion of like, entrepreneurship is healing and like coming back to the belief and like learning about yourself continually. Before we dive into that though, I would love to ask, I thought you shared something really interesting previously too, around kind of thoughts about like capitalism and like some self-worth stuff. If you want to, because I've found that.
Allison, we're recording this. I don't know when your audience is like going to hear it. We're recording this Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And yeah, I was called a communist twice by my family this past weekend. I'm like, I have my own business. Like
come on now. Come on now. Yeah, but I know that like early in the days of like, my own entrepreneurship, I would think like, oh, I'm starting a business so I can dictate my schedule. But then next thing I know, I'm beating myself up because I'm not working all the time, or, like,
yeah, I think it's also like what was really frustrating for me was that I was really good at my job. I did really well. I was early promoted. I was a manager at one of the big four by 25. Like it was,
wow.
So people would, when I started a business, it felt like everybody was like placating me in a sense that they were like, you're like, the old, like, let me put my hand on your shoulder and be like, you'll do okay, son. And everyone's like, you're going to do amazing. If there's anyone else that can do it, it's you. You've been such a hard worker. You know how to do this. Like anyone can rely on you. You can meet every deadline. You'll work till 10 o'clock, all of that stuff. And the capitalistic world, which I'm not anti-capitalism, I'm pro-conscious capitalism. I don't think that we need to like take everyone out in the midst of it, right? There's a way to go about growing business that still gives back and nourishes our communities and the like most disenfranchised among us. But the whole like thing that capitalism sort of takes advantage of, which is this like internal, I'm not good enough, which is what really motivates a lot of people's great work behavior. That's why you stay till 10 o'clock. That's why you get the job done, because you want the praise from your boss. You want the raise. You want the carrot dangling in front of you, whatever it is they're giving you. And it makes you feel good when you get it. And if that is the core driver to making you a great employee, when you go out on your own, that core belief is still there. And now, instead of, striving and dedicating yourself to doing work for somebody else, for someone else's company or bottom line, you need to do it towards your own bottom line, towards yourself, towards what you think you're worth and what you think you deserve. But if that core belief is, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy or deserving, you are going to end up bumping up against yourself. It's going to be very hard to motivate yourself. It's going to be very hard to take the actions that actually move the needle in your business, that are like, okay, this is what my package is, worth, or this is what I'm charging. Or, I've had clients like, they go and they do all the networking and then they forget to mention their business. or like, they're like, oh, I'm networking, and they like go to yoga and coffee, but there's no discussion of like business is ever happening. There's like, it's like they're almost like playing dress up in a sense. They're not doing like the real thing that it takes to create a business, and to get a business off the ground. It's not forming an LLC and opening a bank account, although those things I think are energetically important. But yeah, doing the real stuff. Like they can end up, you can also end up like chasing your tail, offering way too many things, overworking, procrastinating, like feeling overwhelmed, underpricing all of your stuff, over delivering once you get somebody inside, not having any boundaries. So a lot of that stuff is all stemming from that same root place. And if you don't clean up that root place, then you're either going to burn yourself out, you're not going to make any money.
Right. You're just you're trying to build on sand at that point. Like,
yes, totally.
You're not giving yourself a good foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. I know that, entrepreneurially too, like being so in alignment with the work that I'm doing, or like, spending so much of my day focusing on my own business and things like that. Like, it is easy to let that shift into like, that negative headspace if you're not careful, of like, well, nobody's resonating with me, I must not be good at what I'm doing. And it's like, it's really hard not to take that personally, but that's, part of the journey, is figuring out like, no, okay, it'll resonate with the right people when it's supposed to resonate. And like, this has nothing to do with my own self.
And it might be like, you might have a messaging challenge. You might be in front of the wrong audience. You might be speaking to a problem that you're not speaking to in a way that like an ideal client understands, or they see it as this ancillary problem, not the one that they really need to work on, so it could be so many strategic things. And it could be hard, like it could be very easily then to beat ourselves up, be like, I'm not getting the results that I want. And then it sort of snowballs, right? I have a lot of clients that have been in business for like 4 or 5 years, and like it's much harder, no matter what level of income, it's much harder to run a business at 4 or 5 years than the beginning. You have that much of like energy and history of like what worked, what didn't work, times you got hurt, the disappointments and that. And if you don't clean that stuff up, you're going to continue to bring that with you, as opposed to learn from it and like catapult yourself from it. But the people that have been in business, they come to me because they're not happy with where their revenues are 4 to 5 years in. There's a lot of shame. There's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of comparison of like, why am I behind, quote unquote? This woman that I graduated from nutrition school with, or, she's got a big business, but I don't, or, those types of things. So it's important to address some of that stuff, to really like heal some of those like emotional things, because they do cloud up everything.
For sure. Don't bring them with you. And like, you don't need to have the emotional baggage of your business, like heal, transform. And there's so much goodness coming after that. So I love your focus really on entrepreneurship, kind of being that healing journey. And I hear a lot, in what you're saying about kind of following like what feels good, what feels right, what's in alignment. So what advice do you have for new entrepreneurs about really like following, what feels easy? How do we find that?
Yeah. Well, I work with mainly all women,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure about your audience here. So I talk a lot about desire. Not that I don't think men have desire too, they do for sure. But I think it's harder for women to listen to their desire. Um, they, especially like with business, we think of it as like this very masculine thing. We could be like just driving, doing, and working all the time, that it's hard to even understand or feel our desires. And the methodology that I use, the modality that I use is tapping. It's a somatic based tool, right? So really getting ourselves more from our head into our bodies, more into our hearts, using the wisdom of our bodies. Our bodies are so wise. They tell us what's resonating for us and what's not. And if we give ourselves a little bit of the space to start to work with that information and use it as a guide, so when things are constricting, it's probably not good for us.
Right.
But the important thing is to do the work around, is this a fear that's rational and like real that I'm constricting from, or is this some like a limiting belief I have that like I can actually work through, and then this can actually not feel scary or intimidating. But really underneath all of that, and I think there is this like need to know yourself, to get quiet, to be in touch with your body, is these desires. And I like another book I really love for clients, Happy Pocket Full of Money. I call it the Bible. That we're like, it's about the quantum field and like our relationship with it. And, in that book, they talk about when you have a desire, like when you feel drawn to something, there's a reason that you're drawn to it and other people are not. And that is literally like instructions in essence. Wow. Being given to you from whatever you believe is the higher power, whether you think it's just an energetic field or you call it universe or God or spirit, but everything that you've been asking for, right? Ask and it's already given. So the things that you're asking for, the successful business, the money, the family, the relaxation, the freedom, the vacation, all of that stuff, you are being shown how to get that. And that comes through listening and following your desires. And I don't like within the the construct of your business. Like, so I'm not talking like I love Mount Everest and like maybe one day I'll climb it, right? But or I'll go to base camp. Like, yes, like that is a desire I have, but that's not what I'm really like. I'm more specifically like in your business. So back in August, I had a client tell me that she had a win and she was like, I feel like I have no one to share this with. And I feel like if I share it with my best friend, they're just going to get jealous. No one else owns their own business. They don't understand. And I just got this desire to be like, I need to build a place for this woman. Like, I need to build a place where other women are crushing it, where this is a normal conversation. It's normalized to be like, yep, I made 20K this month. Like, I want that to exist. I want to be a part of that conversation. I want to hang out there. It was like, I just had this desire. And so I started to build it. And I was like, I had never done a group program. I never did a launch. I was post an ayahuasca journey that had kicked the shit out of me. So I was like pretty much in depression, and I still built that program and sold it out. And we're just like, next week is our last call. And it was a 50K launch. And I really believe that like, if you follow your desires, like that success is there. It may not be immediate. It may be something you have to learn or go through, but I think everything's serving you, and these are your instructions.
Wow.
We're meant to feel good.
Yeah. You're meant to feel good. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. I think I always get frustrated when I hear, things like the whole, like, oh, nothing worth having is easy. And like all of the kind of like mind, like the way that we make things harder.
Oh,
and like,
totally. We're totally
with our
programmed.
language of
like, we've been doing like the group program's called the multiplier. We've been doing work around that. Like, who taught us this? And like, again, I think some of that stuff comes from not feeling good enough, because if it's harder than we've earned it, then it's more valuable. And, we have this external thing to be like, here's my validation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's really as hard as we want to make it, and it's as easy as we want to make it. And I used to have this Post-it on my desk actually during the launch, and it said, allow it to be easy.
That's
and
beautiful.
So anytime that I would just be like, even this past week, so I'm enrolling like for round 2 of the multiplier coming up like next year. And like this weekend, I was just like, I want to relax. And I had 2 people enroll on Sunday. Like,
Awesome.
and it was just like, I'm not saying do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that is not what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
you gotta action,
for
right?
sure. For
You gotta move
sure.
your feet, but pay attention to how you feel
Mm-hmm.
as you're doing the things that you have to do in
Definitely.
your business. And there's always going to be stuff in your business that like you're not going to like, and it's not your zone of genius. And eventually, like, you'll find someone to outsource that to, and all of that good stuff. But yeah, pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to what's motivating you.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to whether you're chasing external things or you're coming from a centered internal place that's like, this is what I want. Even
Mm-hmm.
if it's, especially if it's nothing that anyone's ever seen before, you've got
Mm-hmm.
to feel really good because you're introducing something new to the world. And, you know, you're a vessel for bringing out this like new point of
Mm-hmm.
view or this new approach or new solution, and stick to that. Don't let your fear override your desires.
Mm, so great. Yeah, I love that advice of like, it doesn't have to be like, it'll be work for sure, but it doesn't have to be this hard, grind of like hating everything you're doing. If you absolutely hate what you're doing, how is that going to translate to clients, being so excited to work with you? Like, it's all about that alignment and really
Totally.
following what feels great. So to kind of wrap up our conversation a bit here, I'm a huge fan of discussing habits and routines, and things like that, and really, embodying our leadership and embodying, who we are as the heads of businesses. So I would love to ask, what is maybe a non-negotiable in your day, and why is it so important to you?
The only one I can really think of that I really genuinely am like, this is non-negotiable, like the handful of times I don't do it in the year is because maybe I have like an early flight or something like that.
Mhm.
But I'm a Vedic meditator. I've been a Vedic meditator for over 5 years.
Mhm.
So it is a daily practice. It's supposed to be 2 times a day. I do not do my afternoon, but I always do my morning. So I have a routine when I get up out of bed, I brush my teeth, go to the bathroom, go back to bed. I kind of prop myself up a little. So your shoulders and your neck have to be like free in essence. And then it's a mantra based meditation. But for me, I do like to distinguish that like meditation is like additive to mindset work. It's not going to undo your beliefs. But
Mhm.
I do think that it will give you the space. It creates empathy. It like really strengthens like your prefrontal cortex. It does like calm your body. And for me, those 20 minutes in the morning, I always get a lot of communication from the other end, wherever that is.
Mhm.
Lots of content ideas, lots of solutions to things. I write my own copy. I write people's my clients' copies like in my head. I like jump out and be like, and that's what I have to do. Like I have to keep the phone like right by me, and literally my notes section of my phone is just totally full
Yeah.
of ideas and things like that. So for me, it's like a place to get quiet with myself, but it's really a place for me to receive.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful, to open up to those divine downloads, to just like be exactly what you need. That's so powerful. Taking
Yeah.
that time for yourself. Oh, that sounds like an amazing way to start the day, and just to feel, in alignment with the direction you're going, and to connect to yourself and spirit. And oh, I love that as
Yeah.
a
And
morning.
I found Vedic meditation. If anyone's listening is in New York, like we have 2 free papers that they give out like on the subway,
Oh.
and I never take it. And I took it from the guy that morning, and like I read this like little op-ed about
Mm-hmm.
this guy who like ran these meditation courses,
Mm-hmm.
and like that night he was doing like a talk about it, and I just like decided to go, and I like finished the talk, and he was like, I have a course this weekend, and I was like, done. And I just like
Yeah.
signed up right then and there.
Wow.
So yeah, trust the alignment, because it's
Mm-hmm.
over 5 years later, and this is a daily part of my life.
Wow.
And the long-term benefits of this are like so clear. It's the same thing as TM, if anyone's interested in or
Interesting.
knows like transcendental. It's the same exact thing. But yeah, it's just, I always think of it as like just such a funny story. Like I was in the right place at the right time. I took the
Mm-hmm.
paper that day. I never do that, and then I
It
just
was
left work to do it, and boom. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on the way to you, and your paths were meant to intercept. That is so powerful and sounds like such an amazing, addition to your day and just so beneficial in all the ways. So the last thing I want to ask is how listeners can connect to you. I know that I love your Instagram content and absolutely adore the work that you're doing, the multiplier. I know some people who are in it or were in the first round of it, and it's definitely on my future list of programs to look at, because it's the work that you're doing sounds incredible. So how can people connect with you if they're interested in learning more about you?
Yeah, the number one place that I'm most active is Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Jackie Simek. I want to say JackieSimek.com. That is my but Jackie Simek is my username. So it's all together. And yeah, I like to post there. I have tapping videos up there. If you want to go check out the IGTV, I'm about to really get into Reels. I just took a little course this weekend on how to make them, even though I've been against them. I'm like, nope, I've switched my beliefs and was like, free platform. Let me work with it.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a Facebook group that I do trainings in there, but I always announce them on my Instagram. So the best place just is to find me on my Instagram, because you'll catch the announcement around the trainings, and you can pop over to the Facebook group. Yeah.
Amazing. And I'll be sure to link everything in the description for the podcast and below the video on YouTube, so folks can connect and find that, because yeah, awesome resources there. So thank you so much, Jackie, for joining us and for your openness of sharing, some of the history of entrepreneurship for you, and opening up about some of those lonely, darker times at the
Yeah.
beginning.
I just want everyone to know that no matter where you are right now, everything can change so quickly for you. So just, keep at it. If it's not working, pray on it, be open to a solution, ask, surrender, be like, please help me. I tell everyone last September, I made $0 that month. And, I had months last year where I made like $800 or something. And I haven't checked my numbers after the weekend, but I definitely will pass 200K this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, oh my gosh, congratulations.
Anything can change
Anything
very
can
quickly.
change.
Yeah.
That's so powerful to just think like, keep putting in the work, keep doing it, keep following your heart, keep doing what feels right. And the proof is in the pudding. It'll happen. It'll come to you. Like, just open to the possibilities. So this has been a super powerful episode. For myself, I know I'm feeling super inspired about the possibilities that are out there. I've got so many thoughts about communities and kind of my own beliefs, and asking myself, checking in with my own thoughts around the spaces I'm in and everything. I love that advice. So thank you so much, Jackie, for joining us. And thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast. And you can also like and subscribe if you're catching this on YouTube. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.